Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Kristen Tucker, and I'm here with the Fourlane Services team. We're excited to spend the next 30 minutes with you exploring one of the most powerful but often underutilized features in QuickBooks, and that is memorized reports. So here's a little bit about what you can expect from today's webinar. We are, of course, going to be discussing memorized reports. We're going to talk about what those are, what are memorized reports. We're also going to go step by step and show you how to create a memorized report and, of course, save it. We'll also talk about organizing and managing those memorized reports. And then we'll visit best practices and pitfalls. So, what are memorized reports? Memorized reports are simply reports that you've customized and saved inside of QuickBooks. So instead of creating or recreating your favorite or most important reports again and again, you can save them once and then access them with just a few clicks. For example, let's say that you regularly are running a sales by rep report for the prior month. Instead of customizing it every single time, you'll be able to memorize it so that it's always ready exactly the way you like to see it. So what are the benefits of memorized reports? The first benefit is time. We all know that time is money. We also want our reports to be consistent. We're using these reports to make business decisions. And so we want to make sure they're accurate. And we also want to be able to share the data that we need to with our teams. That way we're making sure that everybody's on the same page with the same data every single time. It's also convenient, right? Depending on the type of report that you're customizing and how much customization you're going to be doing, we don't want to have to do that every single time. So it is going to be a lot more convenient to have these reports, a couple of clicks away. Okay, so first thing we're going to do is look at where these memorized reports are housed. They can be found by opening your reports menu, hovering over memorized reports, and then clicking on memorized reports list. And here you're able to see all of the current memorized reports in this file. And you'll see them grouped here as well. You'll see the groups in bold. And we're going to talk a little bit more about the groups later on in the webinar. And we'll talk about how to create groups and then, manage your reports within the groups. But now we're going to go ahead and walk through creating a memorized report and then talk about the best practices and pitfalls. So what I'm going to run here is a sales by rep detail report. So I'm going to open that report up and I'm going to filter it for last month. So a quick note about the date filters here. I'm choosing last month. And when you choose last month as a date filter, that is relative to the date that you're pulling the report. Unless you are in a sample file like I am, dates are going to be a little bit different. But generally, last month is relative to the date that you're pulling it. So if you're pulling the report on August the 2nd, it's going to pull data for July, so on and so forth. Okay, so I've got mine set to last month. And then I'm going to customize report. I'm going to go up here to customize at the top left, and I get this nice dialog box. And I'm going to change this report basis to cash. I only want to see paid invoices for this report. Only invoices that have been paid by the customers are what my sales reps are going to get commission on. And so I want to change this to cash basis. I'm also going to add my transaction number. And then I'm also going to add maybe a delivery date. Okay. So I've got the columns that I need. Got my item. Okay. And maybe I'm going to remove balance. Maybe I don't want to see that. Okay. So I've got the columns that I want to have on here. Maybe I would like to change the font on my title. And yeah, got my report basis here. Maybe I would like to change the title of the report. Okay. Then I hit OK. And maybe I'll maybe I'll just take the company name off altogether, and I'll have the report title as the only one, and then I'll leave the rest of this. Okay. Maybe that's how I'd like it to look. Okay. So I've got my report customized the way I want to see it. Now, all I have to do is come here and memorize the report. I'm going to come up here to the top of this report and click on Memorize. Okay, so when I'm clicking on Memorize, I get this nice dialog box where I can change the name of the report, the way it's saved inside of QuickBooks. I can also choose to save it to a group, and maybe I will put it in the Employees section. I can also choose to share this report template with others. So I'm going to share it, and we'll talk about sharing the reports a little bit later in the webinar. But I'm going to click OK. Okay, and then I get this share template dialog box because I did choose to share. I can choose to share this anonymously or using my name. And I'm just going to put a quick description here because it is mandatory that I put that. I could choose to put some additional info. I'm going to skip that for the purposes of this example, and I'm going to click share. Okay. We'll talk more about what sharing the reports does and where those end up sitting. Okay, so I've got my memorized report here. I did put it in the employees group. So what we're going to do now is close this report, and I'm going to come back to my reports menu. I'm going to come over to memorize reports, and I know I put it in employees group, and there is my memorized report. Okay, so I could just click this, and I've got my report open back up with exactly the same customizations as I did before, right? My titles are the same. My date filters are the same. I've got my transaction number column that I added. I also took off the balance sheet column or balance column, and then I added delivery date column. Okay, so my customizations are all here, right? I can also see this in the memorized report list rather than just going to the kind of little subsections there. I can come to memorize reports list, scroll down to the employees group, and then I could see it here. Now this is going to segue into organizing and kind of managing these memorized reports. So we've got it at first in the employees group. Maybe I don't want to keep it there. Maybe I would like my own group of reports that I want to keep mine in. Okay, so I'm going to come down to this little memorize report button, and I'm going to click this caret next to it, and I'm going to add a new group. So I'm going to click new group, and I'm going to type in Kristen's reports. Okay, and this is my group, right? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this report from the employees group to my new group. Okay, and the way that you are going to move the reports or manage them, switch them between groups, is to place your mouse over the little diamond to the left of the report name, and you'll get this little crosshair. I'm just going to click and drag it up to the group that I want it to be in. Okay, so now this report is in my group. You'll also remember that I shared the report template, and so there's also an automatically created shared group, and that report is also in the shared folder, group I should say. You'll see it's no longer in the employee section because I did move it and not copy it. So it is up here. Now, if we close this and we open up our reports menu again, you'll see that the group that I created is now sitting here in this area as well. And then here is my report that I created and moved to that group. Okay. So as far as managing the reports go, right, we looked at how to group them. Okay, so we talked about moving them. We talked about creating the groups. Okay. You can also delete memorized reports. So maybe I would like to get rid of vendor balance detail. Okay. So I can right click this and delete the memorized report. Okay. I could also come down to this caret, highlight the report that I want to delete, and I could click the delete memorized report. I could also use the keyboard shortcut, Control D. Okay. So maybe I will delete detail. Okay, so I'm going to delete that. Do you want to delete this memorized report? Yes, I do. And now you'll see that it's gone. Okay. So one of the best practices that we always recommend when managing memorized reports is to make sure that this report is, the report list is cleaned up. And what I mean by that is if you're someone who makes multiple memorized reports, and maybe you're constantly replacing memorized reports, you'll want to make sure to always get rid of the outdated version of the report. That way, either yourself or your team won't accidentally use the outdated report. Maybe the outdated report does not have the correct data. Okay, so you'll always want to make sure to get rid of any outdated reports that are inaccurate. Okay, you'll also want to group them in a way that's easy for everyone to understand. Okay, so we talked about grouping them earlier. So you click and drag between groups. You can create groups as needed. Okay, maybe I would like to rename a report. Okay, maybe you might find yourself needing to rename the report to make more sense to the rest of your team. Okay, so I'm going to right click and edit the memorized report. Okay, and I can change the title here. Okay, now edit memorized report. In this case, I could also regroup them like this, right? I don't necessarily have to click and drag. I could come to edit memorized report and regroup it here. Okay, I could also just ungroup it all together. Maybe I'll call this version 2. Change the name. Okay, so now we have version 2. Now, if I find myself needing to edit the guts of the report, so to speak, I can open my report by double clicking from that reports list or just clicking from the shortcuts up here, right? And I can come in and I can change what I need to change, right? Maybe I don't need any of these things. Maybe I just need I'm just going to have these few columns. Okay, maybe I don't need all the others. All right. And one thing to notice here is that just because I changed the name of the report inside QuickBooks, right? Remember, I changed this to version 2. It does not change the title of the report itself inside the report. So my title, the way that I put it inside this report, is still the way it was before. So I'm going to change my columns. I'm going to come up to customize report, and I'm going to get rid of some stuff that I don't need. Okay. So I've made all the changes that I want to make. And now I'm going to rememorize, right? I'm going to update the saved memorized report. And to do that, all I do is come back to the memorize button, click it again, and it's going to tell you that the report you're memorizing is already a memorized report. Would you like to replace the original memorized report or create a new one? In this instant, I'm going to update the one that exists. So I'm going to hit replace. Okay. So now I've saved it, right? So I'm going to come back and open it again, and you'll see all my new formats are the same. I'm going to come back out. I'm going to come to Kristen's reports, right? I've got my saved report with the new edits. Okay. So a little tip that I have for you is that you are able to add these reports to your shortcuts bar. Okay. Now, depending on how you have your desktop file set up, your memorized reports or your memorized shortcuts and this entire toolbar is either going to be on the left side of your screen or it might be at the top of your screen. All right, you have an option by going to the view menu and choosing either top icon bar, left icon bar, or hide the whole thing altogether. Okay. So maybe I'm going to leave it on the left for the moment. Now, maybe I want to add this report to my shortcuts because this is the first thing I come in and look at every day. All right. So I'm going to go back to the view menu, and whatever report you have open here, it's going to give you the option to add it to your icon bar. Okay. So because I have paid invoices by rep version 2 open, it's going to give me the option to add it to the icon bar. So I'm going to click it. Okay. You'll get to choose your icon. Maybe I will choose this little safe. You can change the label. Okay. And you can have your label set to however you want. That is a user specific preference. So it's not going to change it for everyone else. Okay. And I'm going to click OK. Now, when I scroll down, right, I'm using my scroll wheel on my mouse. When I scroll down in the My Shortcuts area, here is my report that I just saved. So I'm going to close it here. All right. And it sits there in my shortcuts bar. Okay. Now, some pitfalls to managing these memorized reports, right? You want to make sure that you're not inadvertently overriding a memorized report that you intend to keep. Okay. So whenever you're changing something, or maybe you find a report that you like, but you say, it's not quite the way I want it. I want to make my own edits. And you use that report as a template, that memorized report. If you use it as a template to create your own report and you go to memorize it again, you want to make sure you're choosing the correct option when it asks you if you want to replace the existing memorized report or if you want to create a new one. If you are creating your new one and everyone else is going to be using the existing one, you are going to click new and then save it as a new report with a different title. Okay. That's a pitfall you want to avoid. You'll also want to avoid naming the reports too similarly. So paid invoices by rep and paid invoices by rep -1, -2, -3. It's a surefire way for someone to mistakenly use the wrong report. So you'll want to make sure your names are mostly unique as can be. Okay. And if you are going to change the report for everyone, you'll want to make sure you memorize the existing saved report, right? If this is going to be a company-wide memorized report change, you'll want to make sure you're updating and saving the changes to the memorized report that everyone sees. Okay. Now that is going to cover memorized reports in QuickBooks Enterprise. If you find that you have any questions, please feel free to drop the questions in the comments below. If you do have any other topics you would like to see discussed or demonstrated, drop a comment below, or you can email us directly at info@fourlane.com. If you do find that you'd like more personalized help with either training or anything else, remember that Fourlane Services team is here for you. So whether you need one-on-one training, report cleanups, or a deeper dive into optimizing QuickBooks, we are more than happy to assist. Thank you again for your time and have a wonderful rest of your day.